Good to have you on board. Many thanks, Mr. Kumar, for joining in on ET Now. Well, let's understand what your assessment has been, because so far it seems like India Inc. has definitely been hailing the Modi win. Do you believe that continuity of policies and, a stable government at the front is definitely, the order of the day and what is necessary right now?
Yeah, I always believed in the electoral wisdom of the electorate in our country. We have always underestimated it. A stable government is a must for any country's progress. And that is what the Indian electorate has given a very clear message and mandate. As far as continuity of the policies are concerned, many policies which are oriented towards social welfare and welfare of the poor, I believe they will be continued. And many things which are immediate, I can say, which require immediate attention, like reviving the demand in the economy and reviving the private sector investment. The target where Prime Minister has always said that major target is doubling the farm income by 2022. So these three things, in my view, would be on the immediate agenda of the new government.
Right. Rajnish, when we just talk about the PSU bank consolidation, you think that is something which will now continue after what we've seen with Bank of Baroda and the merger that has happened over there? You think that is something which is also needed?
Again, I have been always been an advocate of 4 or 5 strong public sector banks, and other banks, even if they are not merged, then they have to find their niche. All 18, 19 banks doing the same thing, that is not warranted. We need good competitors for State Bank of India from the public sector space.
Also, a lot of commentators that we've been speaking to are saying that a lot needs to be still done for liquidity or the NBFC issue that you have seen. You think that is something which will also be high priority?
Yes, stabilizing the NBFC sector. And NBFCs have played a very critical role in providing the last mile funding, and to those people who are not necessarily bad credit, but the bank's procedures and systems are such that they are unable to meet their needs. And the last mile connect of NBFCs is much better than the banks. So that was the advantage they were taking, and there was course correction required in their business model, which has largely happened. They were carrying mismatch in their LM, relying more on short-term funding from the mutual funds to fund the long-term assets, which was a recipe for disaster anyway. So that correction has happened, luckily for the country, well in time. Otherwise, problem could have become much more grave. So that is something which also needs, this issue also needs to be addressed.
While, there have been constraints, there have been flaws, the IBC or the insolvency law has to a great extent delivered results, or at least looks very promising for the long term. How would you regard this as a policy, and what else would you like to see in this vein being taken up by the new government?
The law, I don't think there is any any major flaw, and Honorable Supreme Court, they have given quite a few judgments which have set the direction and the course very clear. And because of IBC, the repayment culture in the country has improved. Lenders and borrowers both are now conscious of the fact that over-leveraging can be very damaging. So it has its own benefits. The only thing is that the process should be time-bound, which is very much there to 180 days and 270 days. But for that to happen, it is very important that any account which shows sign of weakness, the reference is at the early stage. So that is very crucial. And after that, the resolution also has to be at a very early stage, We don't have a concept of pre-pack as of now in IBC, but that is something where I think the new government, and we will be giving our suggestions also through IBA, but if pre-pack comes, that will make the resolution faster.
Mr. Kumar, Nikunj Dalmia also joining in. Some would argue that whether the government at the current juncture should continue to recapitalize PSU banks, or they should force for a merger or consolidation between the weak banks and the strong banks. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it is not a either or. Even if you do merger, the capital will be needed. Because it's not that if you merge and then you don't need the capital. Even for merger, one-time infusion of capital is required, and you cannot avoid that. But largely, the recapitalization of public sector banks has already happened. There may be a very few banks now which may need more support by way of capital. Otherwise, many of the public sector banks are on track. They have started earning profits. And if there are a few banks, I am sure that a suitable plan for their recapitalization will be finalized.
Do you expect that the NDA 2 is going to be focusing on banking consolidation in a very meaningful manner?
Yeah, that's what I think so.
In general, do you think, if I look at the PSUs right now, probably from a stock market standpoint, these stocks have completely come down to really terrible levels. So do you think there could be a large change in the way how PSU governance has moved in last 10 years, and next 5 years something significantly could change?
You're talking about PSBs or what?
Yes, in general.
In general, I think there are many well-managed public sector undertakings. So it is not right to paint everybody with the same brush. Again, here my views are very well known. There are very well managed public sector undertakings and badly managed public sector undertakings. And same holds true for the private sector. Some very well managed and some terribly managed. So I think ownership is not a guarantee for good governance.
Okay, couple of last follow-up questions, and I'll not extend our appointment with you after that. For enterprise to thrive, Mr. Kumar, the country needs low interest rates and they need lot of liquidity. Do you think that in next 6 to 12 months something really needs to be done on both these factors?
Yes, given the current level of investment and demand in the economy and their inflation, which is a major concern, which is very much under control, and if it remains under control, there is a case for injecting more liquidity as well as bringing down the interest rate.
The current slowdown in the country, especially in consumers and autos, do you think that needs some government intervention, or this is cyclical and this will arrest itself?
No, this is cyclical, but the steps which we are talking about, that more liquidity, stabilizing the NBFC sector, which was a big source of providing the last mile funding, and third is further reduction in interest rates. So these three, and of course any other fiscal measures which government take and take to revive the overall private sector investment in infrastructure and the economy. So it will have to be a comprehensive package, and I am quite confident that that will happen.
Banker, what is your sense? I mean, are we close to green shoots of recovery in private sector capex, or that is still a distance away?
No, that is what needs to be revived in a much more bigger way, because the experience, say for example, PPP model for private sector, for the infrastructure sector, it did not work out, or it did not perform the way it was supposed to perform.
Okay, last question.
If the infrastructure or any private sector investment under PPP model, where the requirement for investment is huge, and making it work, that is what is needed. Government budgets alone cannot support the infrastructure financing needs of this country.
Okay. Last question, Mr. Kumar. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but if I rewind and talk about NDA 1, when they came to power, expectations were high, but the economic performance and delivery has been middling. Do you think this time around it's radically different? Expectations are not high, but the economic performance could be radically different?
It is, my take and analysis in this matter is also slightly different. The sweeping reforms like GST, Real Estate Regulation Act, IBC Code, when reforms of such magnitude and scale are introduced, there is initially 1 or 2 years of pain. But these reforms have laid the foundation for a stronger economy in the coming years. And now the base is ready. And the economy in general should benefit. There is better tax compliance today. Now the mindset change, I think it is happening. Now people believe that pay tax and keep good accounts. The account keeping should be clean. And that itself is a very significant change. And that's why, like, even if in terms of expectations, what you are saying may be correct, but the kind of reforms have been done in the first phase of NDA government or the previous government, we must give credit to that. And we can hope that the foundation for a stronger economy has been laid. The only thing is that, yes, some stimulus is required at this point of time to bring back the demand in the economy and achieve a higher rate of growth. On any front, taxation front, kind of action previous government took, that has never happened in India in the past.
Stimulus, Mr. Kumar, what you're referring to, I would imagine it would be liquidity injection from RBI and something coming from rural sector?
It has to be like both, a measure of fiscal and monetary both.
Okay. Mr. Kumar, really appreciate your time. You're in the middle of your meetings and you took time to you talk to us, so really appreciate that.